All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, although it feels like a Friday. This Wednesday afternoon, November 25th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, we have Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow. That's why it feels like a Friday. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Class also coming up later on today. Great to see all of us, though, inside the Cyber Group room. Pat, Bonnie, David, Michael, Stefan, Juan, Debbie, Gary. Great to see you all, and all of us just joining on in after loud and clear. Perfect. And for all of us on social media, folks, welcome on back. So, work, we ended up seeing a big pop, more so heading into the late morning, early afternoon. I actually have the news ready to go just to copy and paste here, so allow me a quick sec. Go social media first, then all of us inside the trader. So some pretty interesting news, at least, right? With Work, Slack Technologies, Salesforce held talks to buy them out. So that's all that we know of at this time, but we ended up seeing them pop and get halted from volatility. It wasn't really as much news pending at the time, but it was just from volatility. Then the news came out shortly after. So really didn't take long before it ended up opening up, about 5 minutes, but ended up taking off, of course, from there, right? Nearly a 10-point run up towards high of the day, 39.73 right now. Pulling back down here at least, but listen, it's a very volatile stock. You're going to see profit taking off such a big move. So, at this point, it's still shaking around quite a bit. It just broke higher, of course, but, allow it some time to build up some more support. Probably, yep, well, right as I say that, it's probably going to pull back down a little bit more. Wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing like 37 or 37.50 first before it ends up moving all the way back up to try and hopefully run break higher. That would be the hope and dream here, at least heading into this afternoon. So, for right now, Work easy enough for us to do. Just put this on our watch list for right now. Definitely will not be as easy of a trade. So I would say this is certainly more of like a level 4, level 5 stock in terms of its volatility. Just, obviously, like I said, it's still moving around quite a bit, but the spreads are huge. The order book is fairly thin. You're going to see orders on the bid and ask that are like icebergs, focus on 50-cent levels, whole numbers. But nonetheless, though, just right now, you don't really see as much, 38.25. There's some on the bid. Just, got filled, some selling there. 38.17, a little bit there too. But, otherwise, a little bit more spaced out, more thin, down towards 38, not even much just yet. Let's watch 38. Maybe that'll get filled here coming up. That was a fast drop. Some selling coming in off 38.25 down to 38.16 there. Not a whole lot on the bid. 4,200 shares popping up now at $38. I see that popping in and out, you could say. All right, well, listen, we have class coming up. We're going to focus on this trade, hopefully, heading into the afternoon. We have a lot to cover going into that class, so we will jump to this one at least at some point. Work heading into the afternoon for all of us not joining class. We'll just put this on our list. All right, so with that in mind, we will go from top to bottom. You can see the markets are kind of just like in a roller coaster right now, up and down. Ended up looking to push up higher heading into the early afternoon, but ended up just slumping off here before. So we'll see where they take us, at least by the time this meeting finishes up, but start off with the pump and dumps, the ANPC stock. Well, one more pump, right? Pushing up, I guess, up to 8. Looks like we just made it in time for the pop and drop here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Wow. I feel like I have good timing here, with some plays going into the afternoon. I don't know that they're coming, but you hop on the gainers list, losers list, you'll find some interesting stuff. So just before here, we see this happen quite frequently. So I would have said this anyway, but the fact that it happened, it's pretty interesting. But it pumped and dumped earlier, ended up really making a weak move up, ended up shooting up towards 8.10 here. Ended up pulling back down pretty nastily. And then here at this point, for a stock that already pumped and dumped already, trading 36 plus million shares, perhaps if you see it make an afternoon move up, you certainly don't expect for it to make a new move higher, at least. So, there you expect to see a pop and drop or a hold off resistance. Let's see if it popped and dropped first. Oh, it didn't even kiss. It hit 795 the high, but you could see the shakeout from that point afterwards. So, a lot of selling coming in from that price and underneath and just big move down. So, AMPC, we said it before, just I would expect this just to continue to drop off here. MTC, same thing, just much more filled in order book, tighter spread. So it hasn't dumped off just yet. So you might think, oh, it could pop. I'm not putting my eggs in that basket for right now. I mean, it looks like a level 1 stock, so I like that, but same thing applies there. Just 133 million shares. I don't know what the float is, but This one's pretty interesting. I actually didn't even get the news for this. I'm going to look on Benzinga Pro right now. So Nbac, this one just caught me totally off guard. I guess this ended up making back-to-back pops the last 2 days. We weren't really there to focus on it as much, really. Obviously today, as soon as the market opened up, popped from like 14 up towards just about 1850, 19. And then, all right, so news here, you can see it pushed up higher. So trading higher, a vehicle-to-grid charging company, pronounce it as NUV, NUVVE, is going public through a merger with Newborn. I've seen this like kind of frequently, right? We ended up, well, it was essentially with Spartan Acquisition, SPAQ. They're obviously not listed now, which leads me to Fisker. So that was one of the bigger trades, at least from earlier, right? That's the news that I just posted for the Nbac stock. That stock ended up making a huge push. I was going to say pretty much heading into the afternoon that, we're not as likely to focus on that heading into the close. It looked a little weak, at least off that last pop. But, kind of in relation to SPAQ, to where that stock ended up acquiring like Fisker, Solar, whatever, this EV stock now, they changed their name from SPAQ to FSR. So that leads me here to say FSR, heading into the market open, we ended up seeing an enormous pop, like right around like 9:15, heading into the market open 9:30. From there, a little shake, but this thing ended up taking off. I mean, kind of, well, not to say technical all-time highs. Fausto had brought up earlier, there's just like really little to no ceiling on this trade. Looking at the daily chart, the only thing in its way, like technically, if you're factoring in like highs or lows, is the all-time high here at 2160. It's not to say we're going to find some like, big print level here so much here that's going to act as a, big talking point. But it's more so to say the high, and more so at this point, the fact that it's like shooting up well past this peak, this double top essentially. We ended up seeing this make a huge run further. So it's kind of holding underneath high of the day, 2033. You'd say 20, but like really it's just been choppy around that price throughout the afternoon. So, 2033, the stock's still kind of holding strong near the highs. So, the fact I looked at Nbac, I don't know what they're doing, if they're dipping into the, EV business. It kind of seems like it off the news. But, reminded me of the SPAQ trade, now known as FSR. FSR here, one of our better trades from the morning, and we're going to at least follow this heading into the close. Still kind of holding strong near the highs for right now. All right, so the ELYS, as we just continue to go back down the gainers list here, I don't want to go off course, but ELYS ended up making a push up earlier, kind of pulled back, not much going on right now. COCP, pump and dump from earlier. Looks like this could have been a nice play. Listen, we were in class from earlier today, like right at 10:30 Eastern. So as soon as this popped, for anyone that wasn't in class, I hope that you guys did pretty well on this trade. Looked like you could have done pretty well based on the spread, the tight or the steady trend up. Pretty cheap too to load up on shares with. For right now, though, same thing, just died off. All right, so ZKIN, big bust. So the news out on this was like with like blockchain and DeFi. So it's one that I actually will keep in mind going forward when we talk about Bitcoin blockchain stocks like Riot, Mara. I'll keep this in mind. I'm not going to like throw my eggs in this basket like right away. I got to see some consistent action on the stock, but I'll at least think of it when I happen to see stronger moves now in Bitcoin, or at least Riot or Mara. Nonetheless, big bust today on this trade. So ultimately what happened on this was we ended up seeing this chew through some big orders on the ask around like 285, 290, 295 up top, and eventually broke over 3. Major iceberg order at 3, not much above it really at all. Well, of course, you had some chop from pre-market here above, but nonetheless, once it broke over 3, we were all led to believe that this would end up making a huge pop and run up. So, this was a really nasty shake. If anyone ended up getting caught in this trade, I would say based on the entry, you had a great idea as far as entering. It's just very disappointing that it went completely the other way, right? So this will kind of prove to what I do say otherwise. When we see big volume levels get filled, we happen to see a big move happen afterwards, a big result happen afterwards. By seeing this break through these orders on the ask, you hope to see it make the big pop and run up. Like that would be the expectation. But if it doesn't, get the hell out. And that's what we need to do, because this is what happens after, right? You don't want to get stuck holding on to a trade like this over throughout the day, like pulling your hair out first off, like dealing with the stress more so than anything, right? Like then from there, you're down money, you're down income on this trade. So, just lesson to be learned ultimately for anyone that did get caught. I hate to say it that way, but it was a great setup. You had a great opportunity. I thought it was a great entry, but we have to react fast. And once it goes the other way, we need to just get on out, move on to the next trade. All right. What else we got here? Jmia. Oh my goodness. All right. So, whereas we had a false breakout on this KZIN or whatever, Jmia, JMIA, I mean, it's not breaking all-time highs, but this is just making the move that this is making the move that we thought it was going to make back 2 weeks ago when the news came out. If you go back on this afternoon meeting, for all of us inside the trading room, you folks should know, I've been talking about this news from Citron Research saying that they thought that this would be valued around a $100 stock. Now, do I put my eggs in that basket, right? That's like the phrase of the day. No, but for like a $10, $15 stock, that's a lot of room to see run up, right? Like even if this goes to like 30, 35, that's a lot of room to see run up. Now, that's not necessarily swing trading advice as much. Of course, day to day, perhaps if you follow it, take a small position, see it run up, you just hold on. At that point, just if it dips, maybe you think about getting out. The more pop you stay in. But ultimately, day over day over day, it provides a great day trade opportunity too. So, if anything, just the danger on this stock is the more it goes up, the spreads are going to open up more. The liquidity is going to thin out on the book. So you could see that on the matrix. It's gotten higher in price too. So you trade less shares ultimately at the same time. So that is more of like a downfall of this, squeezing up like this. But it just goes to show like that type of news, that certainly factors in with seeing this run up. So for right now, Jmia, JMIA, it's in a tight range right now, but I'll put this on our watch list heading into the afternoon. It's definitely more of like a level 4 to 5 stock, but it is shortable. So if this ends up crapping out the other way, which I mean, hey, it's still strong. If it ends up popping, this can make a new run. So follow the trend here at this point. But ultimately, just this, if this craps out the other way, it could provide good opportunity just as much as it can on the way up. All right, folks, for all of us here, I will say a little, probably laugh for you folks, but for me, not as much. If you find that I'm talking a little too loudly here during this meeting, you're going to have to blame my backyard neighbor. He has his like leaf blower and now actually his lawnmower at this point. He switched from leaf blower to lawnmower throughout this whole afternoon. So I knew going into this meeting, I'd have to talk loud. If you hear that I'm loud, I apologize. Hopefully they shut up pretty quick. They always do that. Nonetheless, PLTR, same thing as Jmia. Right now, this is breaking all-time highs. This one we're going to add to our watch list, much like Jmia here at this point, JMIA, PLTR. I mean, just nonstop up and up and up and up. I appreciate Skip and Pat saying the audio is good. All right, there we go. Very nice, folks. All right, so PLTR. Oh man, for right now, I mean, the spread seems to be tighter than Jmia, just as much volume as it's been trading day over day, and just based on the offering shares that we were talking about off its IPO, we were saying this stock is going to have a tight spread, a liquid order book, and even as a $28 stock, making this move up 18.5% still. There's a bit of a spread, but order book is still fairly liquid. Oh, now it's opening up a little bit more, jumping up a bit. All right, well, same thing with Jmia, though. I would focus more so on 50-cent levels and whole numbers at this point. You could see some support roughly around 27.50, 27.25, and you could see a resistance roughly around 28.50 and 28.75, kind of that range together. So, we'll follow up on these trades perhaps if we have time in the class coming up this afternoon. But for those of us not in class, we'll just put this on our list too. Taurus, this shortable. It is. Wow. Wish I knew that earlier. I don't know if it was shortable before. I don't think it was. Ended up squeezing up. And when I talk about crapping out the other way, this is kind of what I'm talking about here. So, for a pump up like this, if we are able to short this on the way down, this would be a great opportunity. I don't know if it was hard to borrow and now it isn't. But either way right now, it's just not like doing too much. So unfortunately, we missed this move. But, that's exactly what I mean when I say that. All right. Code Diagnostics news came out on CODX. I don't mind going back to the Benzinga Pro copying pasting here. let's see. So I'm going to do a little copy and paste. Co-Diagnostics receives clearance from Indian FDA for COVID-19 two-gene multiplex test. There we go. So that's the news on CODX at least. I'm going to copy and paste once more. There we go. Pop and drop, as you folks can see here now, at this point beginning to shake off of 12 on the way down. So not looking too good here. Keep in mind for next week, right? Or keep in mind for Friday of this week. I keep thinking today's Friday. Keep thinking for Friday of this week. Of course, tomorrow we are closed Thanksgiving, but Friday on Black Friday, half day at least in the market. We'll still follow up on CODX from there. All right, let's hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything on that side looking better, just as good. GPS earnings based, I know that. So they took a big hit, of course. Looks like as soon as the market over, more so heading into like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Really, from that point, they started dropping off like 23.50, broke down from there 22.50 as soon as the market opened up. But from this point, I mean, it's kind of trading in a tight range, but it's near the lows. It's on a tight spread, liquid order book. Yeah, I mean, at this point, we don't have too big of a list. I like this more than like PLTR and Jmia, to be honest, at this point. I mean, especially for our like more level 1 to 3 students here. You know, for any of the 4 to 5s out there, you folks know what to trade at this point. But, you know, at least the spreads are really tight. You can see at least here maybe like a 9,000-10,000 share order on the ask currently. You know, it's a little bit easier to read. CRSR here. Ooh, this one's at the lows, but the order book like super thin. Like, I don't know if Fausto's here with his 1 share up top at 41.99. Actually, a few of these here, 1 share, 2 share. I mean, goes to show how thin that really is, right? I joke around, of course, when I sit with Fausto, but Nikola, look at this. No surprise. 31, we ended up seeing an over and under type move. When I say no surprise, we ended up seeing a lot of sell-off at 31, kind of that range between like 31.44 or so and 31, but nonetheless held off the highs and then ultimately 31 here heading into the early afternoon. So, you know, the stock is shortable, ended up crapping out the other way, made the over and under move where we saw more selling off the 31 bid. From there, drop back down. So, you know, we were going to go over this in class actually coming up later on as well. We were going to follow up with it. We still will, but, you know, ended up making a nice drop off for about like 65, 70 plus cents. For right now, Nikola, I guess same thing. We'll just put this on our watch list. We don't really have too big of a list for right now. Too many cheapies to follow up with for right now. So, Nikola, we'll keep this in mind. I tell you, my backyard neighbor has to be digging like a 30-yard hole in his yard right now at this point. I don't know what he's doing, but it's just getting louder and like funkier noises. SY at the low of the day too, actually near the pre-market low. Ultimately, you can see a spike down towards like 1320-ish, 25, we'll call it. Ended up bouncing hard from that point. So I would assume that area to still be support. Either way, massive spread here now. It's just like same thing, like thin order book. It's like day before Thanksgiving. We don't normally expect to see a whole lot happen the day before a holiday, and we've already had a whole lot happen so far today. Most of it in the morning, but we've had a decent early afternoon also. So, you know, at this point, I'm going to be more picky. I mean, Nikola looked all right to follow up with. XPEV here, just not worth it. Yeah, that just about does it. That's really all I see on the gainers and losers list. I mean, it goes down only so much. So, folks, if there's anything else that's up or down more than like 5%, just type it in the chat boards here on social media. Type it here on the trading room. Let me know. Skip says, I can't hear your neighbor in Boise, Idaho. That's good to know, Skip. All right, so at least he's not coming through my headset there. PLTR, check back in with this one. Just, you know, it's on our list, just still shaking around. From David C, and I thought I saw this from before. I'm sorry, I got the announcement inside the trading room blocking it, but EOSE. It's up 10% near the high, so I appreciate you typing that in. Actually, just like a spaced out order book, still thin, like just not really worth it at this point. If it was more liquid, if it was trading more volume, I would say yes. So in terms of like the chart pattern, I don't mind this at all. But otherwise, The ELYS from David. We got two David C's there. How about that? We gotta fix that again there from David, one of us. I got you. ELYS though ended up making a pop earlier, dumped back down though. I wouldn't expect a whole lot going on. That's too funny though. I'll fix that for you though. The two David C's. GPS popped over 2150 or 2155. Yeah, so that one's on our list at this point, right? So it's just a liquid order book. I'd rather follow this compared to some of those others that have like a more spaced out level 3. All right, and I'm gonna check Benzinga Pro. I haven't seen much though come across, so I'll tell you. I mean, I'm happy with this list otherwise. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of crap here on Benzinga Pro Signals page. Not much going on. Watch, the second I finish up this audio broadcast, we'll have like 3-4 things popping. knowing our luck there. All right, folks, for all of us on social media, just as always, make sure that you folks like, subscribe, notify right on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/cybertradingu. Otherwise, feel more than free to join us here Monday to Friday inside the Cyber Group room. You just go to the link down below in the banner just to sign up. For all of us inside the trading room now, I'm going to post the picks, and then from there, you'll have Rich take over the screen. I'm going to jump in the classroom, get ready. We'll make the link or post the link coming up for class also very shortly at the same time. I look forward to seeing you folks there. Take care. Oh, and with that in mind, must I say to finish this broadcast up, happy Thanksgiving for those of us that I do not have a chance to see in class. That goes across the board for all of us inside the trading room and on social media. Jeez, I thought I did that from the beginning there, so I apologize.